Hey, Bam Davis with the West Jordan Fire Department Heavy Rescue 5-4 here with another training video series. Today we're going to talk about rigging the Stokes for horizontal high angle operations. This is typically done with an attendant, so we'll talk about the attendant attachments and just the rigging for the Stokes basket. First off, it's important to know the Stokes is on top of the heavy rescue. As soon as you walk up the ladder, it's the first compartment on the right. The Stokes basket always has a backboard in it, and it also always has this orange Stokes basket or bag with it. In the bag, it has everything required to rig your Stokes for any situation, not just horizontal, for low angle or for vertical high angle. Also includes your C-spine equipment, spider straps, and a C-collar for your patient, and basically everything required, like I said, to do any rigging for any operation. This is always stocked and with the Stokes basket. This is firefighter Paul Roberts. He's going to basically show us the attendant connections and whatnot, and we'll get to that in just a minute. We're going to first start with just our main line, which is probably the most important line. Now with this setup, this is a team-based operation. The team would be lowering the rescuer or the attendant and the victim in the basket. This allows the attendant to be hands-free and to either render patient care, clear obstructions, manipulate the basket. So it's important that he doesn't have to worry about actually lowering the complete operation. So we'll talk about the main line. Today our main line is this yellow line right here. And you can see we have this suspended just so it's easier to see. But the main line, we just have a figure 8 on a bite with the safety, and it's carabiner to our O-ring of the bridle harness. The bridle harness is also kept in the orange bag, and it is carabiner to the basket in the 4 designated positions. One thing to keep in mind and to remember is the O-ring should always go in line with the basket. It just makes rigging it easier, and when we get to the puke strap, you'll see why it makes it easier to operate that in the event that you need to. So main line is just dead-ended here. There is another option to rig this if you want it to be an attendant with an ID instead of using an Aztec. We'll talk about that in just a minute. Our safety line, you can see is the orange line. We have it running down with a butterfly carabiner to the O-ring as well. Now on this one, the tail of the butterfly is about 20 to 30 feet, and then we have a stopper knot in it. What this allows the attendant to do is to attach to the tail using a 3-rat prusik to his dorsal or chest connection of his harness, and it allows him to adjust that in the event that he needs to descend below the basket to clear obstructions or for whatever reason to manipulate the basket. It just allows him to adjust his own belay and be free of somebody else controlling his belay. Now we'll talk about the attendant's mainline connection. Okay, today we're showing Paul being attached to the rig with an Aztec. The Aztec device is basically it's a very versatile device, can be used for many different things. Today we're showing it in the configuration of the attendant, and very similar with the pickoff, blue to U, blue to belt. Make sure that the prusik that's pinned is always near where you can control it. So today he's got blue to him, so he's going to pin the blue prusik. That basically allows him to hang hands free, and that prusik will hold his weight. And if he wants to descend down below, he just has to hold that prusik and control his descent with the other hand and feeding that rope into there. Very, very simple to use. If he descends down below, then all he has to do is basically pull on the MA system to raise himself back up. Keep in mind that every couple feet you go, you're going to have to adjust your prusik on your belay line, so you're within limits of that fall range, that 18-inch fall range. So now this, the only other connection we haven't talked about is just what we call a puke strap. This is also kept in the orange bag, and it has foot loops tied into it, similar to an atria, just so it's versatile depending on the height or size of the rescuer. He can manipulate the foot straps in the position that he best needs to. So how we connect that is basically a lark's foot on the far side, away from the rescuer. It comes up through the O-ring, which, as we talked about, we like to be in line with the basket, and this is one of the reasons, so that when we actually step on this to manipulate the basket, it's smoother if the ring's running this way. So Paul will just represent having an airway problem, stepping into the loop, reaching his hand to the far rail, and just turning the basket. This way, if the patient is vomiting or has any airway obstruction, we can help clear that and make it definitely more tolerable for the patient in the event of a rescue. Okay, so we've talked about the attendant using the Aztec for his connection point, his main line connection point. This is just another option. We used to teach this before the Aztec was around. It's still acceptable to use, and it's just a preference thing. If you, like I said earlier, if you're the rescuer, you're basically deciding how you want it rigged and how you want to attend the Stokes. So this is completely acceptable. Now the difference here, the main line, prior with the Aztec, we had this dead-ended just with a figure 8 on a bite and a safety. Now we've rigged it just the same as the belay line. We have a butterfly with a 20 to 30 foot tail and a stopper knot in the end of it. And now the attendant or the rescuer is going to use an ID to connect to this main line. The difference is that now he's in the ready position to descend below the Stokes basket if he needs to manipulate Stokes or clear obstructions. But if he ascends, he's going to have to add his handle descender above the ID with his atria and ascend in the fashion using his ID. A little bit more difficult to get up the rope, probably a little quicker to get down the rope if you need to. Like I said, it's a preference thing. I like the ID just attached, or the Aztec attached to the rescue ring, just because of its ease of operation for either up or down. But this, again, is completely acceptable. Again, he has a self-minding belay, just as with the Aztec, on his belay line, that he can mind that as he goes up or down the attendant line. So, clear?